dear students, for the BCA 6th semester, that is session number 48. This is our last session where we are going to deal with what are all the signals which we have and what do you mean by trap, and also how to debug with the shell script by setting the -x option, and also some validations, how to validate our data entry scripts. So we will know all this in our today's session. Okay, so before that we will have one small recap to it where we will say set and unset. So we just saw how to set the variables and also how to unset the setted variables. So by using this set, where we can set those things to a positional parameters and we can access that. And also we just saw shift. So how to shift these values and how we can work on a positional parameters and all we just saw in a previous session. And here in the here document, where we are going to have a command and as well as the message on a one single page. So that also can be done, and on same single file we can do this thing. So this also can be done, and we just saw how nicely it has been done by using a here document. Okay, so coming on to the today's session, that is we will be knowing about signals. So what do you mean by signals? So signals are the software interrupts where it is used in order to send to a program to indicate that an important event has occurred. So signals is going to tell you something, as some external signals are going to disturb the current execution. So on that time your signals will be very useful in order to intimate your machine. So the events where you can vary from the user requests to a illegal memory access errors. So some signals such as the interrupt signals, which will indicates that the user has asked the program to do something that is not in the usual flow of control. That's what I said, whenever the external signal will interrupts on our regular working. So on that time your signals will be used. So here so many signals are there in order to perform these jobs. So that is sig hub, that is you can see hang up detected on controlling terminal or death of controlling process, and sig int. So here the signal number is 2, which is issued to the user sends an interrupt signal, that is by using control C, where a user will send this. So sig quit, this is also by the user it will be sent, where in order to quit, isn't it, control D we will be using it. Sig fp, that is the signal number 8, which is used as an illegal mathematical operation is attempted. So sig kill, where it will say 9, if a process gets this signal it must quit immediately and will not perform any cleanup operations. Whenever you say that signal kill is gone, so automatically it will just quit it. So without cleaning or without any kind of operations, it will just move on. But sig alarm, so where alarm clock signals will be used for the timers. Sig term, that is signal number 15, where software termination signal were sent by kill by default. So this software termination signals are used. Okay, so these are all the types of signals which we have, and so here every signal has its own default action associated with it. So if at all if the signal has occurred, means the default action of a particular signal will take it into an action that a script of a program performs when it receives a signal. Some of the possible default actions are terminate the process. So you have, if you want to terminate the process, or if you want to ignore the signal, or if you want to dump the core, this creates a file called core containing the memory, where imaging of the process when it received the signal, and stop the process and continue a stopped process. So these are all the possible default actions which will be taken care by your signals. So sending signals. So there are several methods of delivering these signals to perform a script program to a program or a script. One of the most common is for a user to type, that is Control C or the interrupt key, while a script is executing. So whenever the script is keep on executing, so on that time, if at all if we type Control C or Control Z, so automatically it will just raises a interrupt key. Okay, so where it will stops the command and it will say that you can continue with the another action. So this Control C will be used. When you press the Ctrl C or break key at your terminal during execution of the shell program, what your normally program will do, it immediately terminates and your command prompts will returns back so that you can just type on the commands whichever you want. This may not always be desirable. Every time it is not fair, isn't it? So for instance, you may end up leaving a bunch of temporary files that won't get cleaned up at all. So on that time, the trapping these signals is quite easy. So instead of sending these interrupt keys, it is best to go for a trapping of these signals. So the trap command has the following syntax. You can see the trap with commands signals. So here the command can be valid Unix command or even a user defined function. So these signals can be a list of any number of signals you want to trap it. So whenever you want to trap a particular signal, so in the previous slide, which were the signals which we have shown, you can trap those signals. There are two common uses for the trap in a shell scripts. That is, one to clean up temporary files and the second one to ignore the signals. The trap will first and foremost look into the cleaning up the temporary files which has been used by the previous command, and also to ignore the signals whenever they don't want the unwanted signals will causes a error creation. So on that time, to ignore those signals, this trap will help us. So cleaning up the temporary files. For an example, you can see the trap command where it shows how you can remove some files and then exit if someone tries to abort the program from the terminal. So if you just check it out, here we have mentioned trap rm-f where we are working with the directories like this, and then we will say exit 2. From the point of the shell program that this trap is executed, and the two files like work1 and also the data out $, so will automatically removed if a signal number 2 is received by the program. Hence, if the user, see here working directory which we are working with the two files, okay, here what it is doing, it is just removing as soon as it gets into a exit 2 signal. So hence, if the user interrupts the execution of the program after this trap is executed, you can be assured that these two files will be cleaned up. So here the trap will take care of cleaning up these files. Okay. So what is the next action which is looking into is ignoring signals. If the command listed for trap is null, then the specified signal will be ignored when received. So whenever some commands will come, then if you want to ignore it, then you can go for it. So if the command listed for trap is null, the specified signal will be ignored when received. See here, the trap is given with the null with 2. This specifies that the interrupt signal is to be ignored. You might want to ignore certain signals when performing an operation that you don't want any interrupt to interrupt you. So on that scenario, you can use this command. So apart from assigning some values to the positional parameters, we can also have some set -x or serves which acts as a debugging tool. So after writing all the scripting and after running everything, if an error occurs, means how to check it out, the error is occurred and where it has been occurred and how to remove that error. So everything will be it is a question mark. So on that time, our shell script also provides some facilities or the tools for your debugging thing. So debugging tool will be available in our shell script with its -x option. So when you used inside a script or even at the dollar prompt, it echoes each statement on the terminal preceded by a plus as it is executed. So modify any previous script to turn on the set option by placing the following statement at the beginning of the script. So if at all at the beginning of the script, if you mention that set minus x, so automatically it will place you to for the debugging mode. So if at all if you set plus x means it turns off whatever you have set it for debugging. If you want to get enter into a debugging session, then it is minus x. If you want to exit means it is plus x. And you can place the later statement at the end of the script. So this is assigned by a minus x option for your set command. So that will just takes you to a debugging session. So we will just look at the one example, how to invoke the script emp7.sh. So here emp7.sh we have called. So here emp list with its particular parameters. So here fl name is equal to emp.list plus shift grep. So grep here, see, check it out. So what it is doing, in fact, this is like ideal tool where you have already run set command for this emp.sh and also emp.list, where each and every line is affixed by your plus and showing the each and every step actions. So here you can check it out. This is an ideal tool in order to use if you have a trouble finding out why script is not working, or it is not scripts don't work in the manner which you are expecting it, means it shows how the shell prints each and every statement as it is being executed. So as and when the statement is executing, the each statement's executions will be given out by affixing a plus to each line, and also shows the grep command execution. See here for every iteration how it has worked. So if at all if it says that grep 2233 from the emp list, means you can see the output is over here. The next statement will give you the output like this. So each statement will be executed and it will shows you what is the output of the each statement when it is running. This is how you will get to know the debugging session. This is the same like as you are using F7 in your C language, where F7 is used for the debugging mode, isn't it? Same way here also you can get into the debugging mode just by setting the set command minus x at the beginning of the script which you want to run it. So if you place that one, automatically it will start to execute and to show the output by just giving a plus symbol. If you want to come out of that debugging session, means you just set with plus x so that you can come out of the debugging session. Okay, so after knowing about this, we want some validations to be put for our data entry scripts. So what is this? See, the two interactive shell scripts that accepts input from the user are one script that looks for the code list, the another which acts for an entry to a text database. So here we are purely talking by keeping in our mind that we are accessing a sample database which is called emp list. In that we have already coded valcode.sh. Yes, though that is a script in order to look up for a code list. In this script, it uses the set and shift features in order to accept and validate the department code. It looks up the code list maintained as a here document in the script file itself and then flashes the department name on the terminal. See, till now what were the concept we just discussed about the set, shift and here documents, everything has been used in order to code this valcode.sh. Okay, so by looking into that you can get an idea of it. And next is the another one which is used in order for a data entry script. So one more file which has been created is the dentry1.sh. So our final script, that is the data entry script, accepts a designation code, its description from the terminal and performs some rudimentary validation checks and then adds to the entry to a file. It also validates the code entered with the ones that already exist in the file. The script repeatedly prompts the user until the right response is obtained. Okay, so break and continue are the two keywords which are used by the shell loops, where we have already discussed with this, isn't it? The continue and the break are the two statements which allows us to change the flow of control of a programming. So that is what the continue, what it will do, it will suspend the execution of all the statements which is following it, and it will switches the controls on the top of the loop for the next iterations. And also the break, on the other hand, it causes a control to break out of the loop. So this is what it will be doing. This is whatever I told you, this is purely in terms of the sample database which we are keep on using from throughout our examples. Now the purely which when we are talking about validation, what do you mean by validation and why this is used? So see, this validation is an automated check. Whenever you write some program, you just want to know whether that program is running properly or not. And also when you ask for some user entry, so that user entry, are you taking in a proper aspect or proper data type, and you want to check in all aspects. So if you want to do that one, the validation is the right option in order to do this one. So validation is an automated check which is performed to guarantee that the data input is rational and acceptable. So it does not check the correctness of the data itself. When a script gets one or more inputs from the user, most of the time it exports the following. It is expecting some features like a specific number of inputs it wants and inputs of a specific type or a format which want. So if the user provides the wrong number of inputs, if at all, if the user is going to enter a wrong number of inputs, or the input type is incorrect, or the script may generate an error or behave oddly. So for an instance, I have given enter the name. So in the name, if you just keep on giving the numbers or special characters, means that is a wrong thing which you are giving is. It is a wrong input. So on that time it may generate an error. So what we are doing, if you are asking for a name, means that user input should be validated in such a way that not other than alphabets should get entered into it. So for that you have to take care of it. Okay, so for this reason it is strongly recommended to write the code in order to validate the user's input, because we will be not knowing what the users will be entering it on the place which we have given to enter. Okay, come on, let's we explain the validation with this example. See, in our example, we are telling to enter an input, where we are asking the user to enter an input and we are telling that to read the variable. This variable where we are going to read and store the input. So now what we are doing, we are looking into the criteria, saying that what is our variable that should be. Okay, so we are just checking with the special characters, meta characters and all, and also with the what should be there in our particular. If at all, if it is other than this 0 to 9, other leaving this, if anything is there or even in space is there, then it is not an integer. If at all, if it is nothing, apart from this, if you have means, then it is a valid integer number. Let me check with this example, saying that if enter an input, whether it is 73, yes, of course it is a valid integer number. Enter an input minus 71, you have mentioned it, it can be minus or plus, isn't it? So minus 71, so valid integer number. And also you said that enter an input Chinmay 73, it is not an integer. Why? Because Chinmay, it is not allowed over here, only numbers should be entered. So enter an input GFG, it is not an integer. Enter an input plus 73, 71, yes, it is valid integer number. Did you got it? How validation has been done over here, but this is the process of verification, where we are checking for all the cases, like whether whatever we have validated is taking care of that input or not. Okay, so this is the beauty of our validation and verification. So summing up our particular session, we have just gone through about what is signals, what are the types of signals we have, and also how to track these signals by using the track command. And also we just looked into the debugging session, how to get into a debugging session by setting the set -x on your top of the script, and also some sample validations and data entry scripts in the point of view of using EMP list as a sample database. And other than that, we have also looked into the validation, how it has to be given and how it has to be taken care when the user is going to enter their input. So these are all the things we have just discussed, and these are all the references. Okay, so I hope you have understood all the concepts of the Unix. Thank you.